Greetings, salutations, and welcome to my neighborhood where all the dogs bark all the time, except ours, until their owners get home. But what this actually is an ownership series, a video series, which I thought would be the first one in South Africa of a W202, and then this happened. And you know what the worst or best thing is? That is an excellent channel. I love that channel. I watch all his videos. It's so easy to watch. It's informative. It's brilliant. And he's got 11 times more subscribers than we do. So please go like and follow and watch it. They're excellent. So this is the second ownership update series of a W202 because I bought this C280 I think a couple of days after that video landed. Cue the intro, please. Okay, I actually bought this car with heavy encouragement from a friend and his eventual support because I needed to scratch my old car itch. I'm obsessed with old cars and I hadn't bought one in 3 years, and that is not acceptable. So when I saw this on Facebook Marketplace, I sent it to him, we started chatting and convincing each other that we needed this in our life. It's actually quite a rare color or rare color combo. It's also a final year car. It's April 2000. Come, where's the file? Let's have a look. I think it's an April 2000 car. Yeah, 7th of April 2000. So it has the tip shift, it's got the gear shift indicator, and I think production of these ceased in May 2000. Can that be? There are my notes. This is my chair. Okay. Another reason was that my very first car that I owned myself, that was in my name, was a pre-facelift C280. It was blue. And I loved that car. I drove it, I think, over 100,000 kilometers. I still missed it, so scratching another itch here. It's now the third W202 I've bought. If you're interested in a full documentary, let me know, because it is coming. We can speed it up a bit. I've got a mini documentary on the C43 that I've got, but now that I've got this one, and some of my buddies have, we can do a full W202 documentary. That is in the pipeline. Send us a comment if you want us to speed it up. Right. Another big reason, especially that I told my family, my wife and them, is that my cousin needed a car. So she was coming out. Hallo Simone, thanks for watching. And she needed a car for a while, and although I have plenty, I thought, no, what we need is like a guest car. A beautiful, sensible, wonderful Mercedes. Ta-da! So that was another excuse why I wanted to get this. I love red Mercedes-Benzes. No, I really love red Mercedes-Benzes. So that was another reason to get it. By the way, I once met someone who hates red Mercs. Okay, I hate white Toyotas. And I realize I've just offended half my contact list and half the planet. But that's my opinion, which I'm going to keep to myself until that point. So maybe he should have as well. Anyway, when we started chatting to the owners, they came out to us. We live in a different village. We live at least half an hour away, if not more, and they came out to us. So they already showed us they were quite keen to sell. The test drive went okay. The car arrived warm. Obviously, we let it cool down a bit. We did our due diligence. We prodded and poked and checked everything. And we could already find quite a bit wrong with it, but they were willing to negotiate, so it was looking good. The engine doesn't smoke. It didn't stutter or shake, so the engine mounts seem okay. It does shake a bit when it's warmed up and idling. It idles too low. The revs are a bit low on idle if you're in gear. And I've spoken to two mechanics who both said, does the car die? And it doesn't, so they said, don't mess with it, leave it. So I shall. Oh yes, my notes say that we should refer to my cheap Mercedes-Benz video, which I haven't made. That was supposed to be the first one in this series. Maybe it is, maybe it won't. But I will make a video about the saying that is absolutely true. There is nothing more expensive in this world than a cheap Mercedes-Benz. I can vouch for that multiple times. Okay. The next thing I can vouch for is when someone says the aircon just needs a regas. That's a 50-50. In my experience, buying used cars, when they say the aircon just needs to be regassed or filled up or recharged, that is half the time that's a lie. Unfortunately, in the case of this car, yeah, that was a lie. The compressor was broken. But I'll get to that in a future video where I break down everything that was wrong with it, and I'll also do a video about costs and give those in greatest detail. So I have a new plan going forward. If someone says, this car is for sale, are you going to buy it? The aircon just needs a regas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pay them to do the regas. So it's not much. It's like a couple of $100, maybe $1,000, which in overseas currency, most of them is divided by 20, so it's like $50. I will give them the money. Go and do it, come back, and then I'll probably buy it. Oh, right. The next thing on this car, it had an unclear history. We don't know if the people were the second or third owner. I reckon they were third, because many years ago I also wrote a blog, which is what people used to actually type, and they didn't have AI. You actually had your thoughts go into a keyboard and onto the website. And I wrote a blog about the third owner, who usually destroys a car or heavily neglects it. I don't want to accuse the previous owners or the sellers, but there was a bit of neglect. So I reckon they were the third owners. The paperwork was okayish in South African or Southern African terms. Overseas it would be red flags. But here it was acceptable because the car was in the son's name, or the grandson, I forget. It was an elderly gentleman and a young guy. Very, very friendly. One note I've also made, the old man got very emotional when we obviously bought the car. He was like touching it and wishing it well. So that was very touching in both senses of the word. And the car was in the son's name, and it had a valid disc and a license plate, and the cats might be optional. It had a valid disc and a license plate, but he had bought a personalized number plate or a special number, a cherished plate, a vanity plate, I don't know what you call it in your area, and he hadn't put it on the car yet. It was supposed to go on. So once we decided to buy it, I did a wire transfer, which was a nightmare because my bank let me down a couple of times. And then once he had the money, they left the car with me. He went home. I think that was over a weekend, and on the Monday he sorted out the paperwork, which was a bit of a hassle. But he kept updating me, no, I'm almost done, and now I have to go to this department, and there was an outstanding fine or something. So once he had settled it, then I could go and put it in my name, because if I had done that before, he would have lost his special plate. And very, very nice sellers. I wasn't going to do that to him. Now, next note. It's in stock standard condition. Maybe we shall take a walk around. It has no modifications. It is not lowered. It is not pimped. It doesn't even have tinted windows. The only modification I can find is the tow bar, and that's not really a modification. That is an accessory, I would call it, or an after-sales add-on. The badge was me, by the way. This car is stock standard. Also the inside, nothing. Not even a Bluetooth Sony triple D bass hello chrome adult toy radio. Nothing. Completely standard. That was a big selling point for my friend Mikhail and I to negotiate further. Oh yes, it doesn't seem to have had any major accidents. Maybe a front prang or a little bit of a shunt at the front, but the chassis, everything seems okay. Sides are straight. It drives straight. Definitely had a blowover, partial respray or complete at some point, because it also had a lot of sun damage. We'll get to that just now. Okay, all the glass appears to be original. They all have a little code on it and they all match, except the front passenger one, which doesn't go down completely. It sticks out about 1 centimeter. Or 1.75 foot freedom burgers. I don't know what the imperial of 1 centimeter is. Doesn't go down completely, there's like 1 centimeter left. The rear one is rather noisy. It's better on the way up. The seller's ad said that it is full house, which is a typical South African thing. As soon as a car has, I don't know, wheels, it is full house. It is not. It is missing the sunroof, although it does have the tow bar and the climate control. I don't know if that was standard, because in South Africa we had a standard spec which was fairly high on these cars, so there wasn't much to do except metallic paint, sunroof. We didn't get seat heaters, because if this car had a seat heater or seat heaters and a sunroof, I would keep it, and I would be in big trouble now. Right, condition. In my personal and professional opinion, this car was in a fair to poor condition, cosmetically and mechanically. I would give it like a 4 out of 10, 5 at a push. It just passed. It would be scrap in Europe, I reckon, but it's pure gold in Tajikistan or Walfish Bay. Again, maybe I'll get to that cheap Mercedes video, because I think there are certain grades, and this one was just nice enough to get it going and to make it nice again, but it could have also been bought by someone who just wanted to keep going and would have driven it with the lights coming on one by one and things falling off and the aircon not working and the this not working and that not working, and just drive it and drive it and drive it. So my friend Mikhail and I reckon we've rescued this car, because there was quite a service backlog. It has been painted, definitely, as I showed you earlier, or I can show you now in B-roll. It doesn't have too many dents, quite a few scratches, one nasty one, a couple of smaller ones. The bumpers are actually not too bad. There's something weird happening on the passenger lower bumper. No visible rust, although we are at a coastal town. We're close to Cape Town here. I grew up in Namibia. I didn't even know what rust was. In fact, rust offends us because we never see it, and when we do, we get upset that it used moisture to turn into something weird. We need that in a desert country. So I know this is not relevant for overseas people, but in the case of this car, look, nothing, not even crusty. That is misaligned. Look, solid, nothing, no rust. Anyway. What else? Oh yes, sun damaged interior and I reckon exterior, but it had a blowover or partial respray. The roof liner has definitely been redone, so it had heavy sun damage and that starts coming loose. They all do that, and that is definitely not the original roof liner. It's been done okay-ish, I guess. There was heavy wear on the seat bottoms, but no tears, and the driver bolster didn't have any damage, because what they did, it had these cheap sheepskin cover things, and we thought, aha, they're trying to hide the torn driver's seat, but oh no, oh that's fine, and then we left it at that, not checking the rest, because, insert horror violin sounds here, you should have seen what the passenger seat bottom bolster looked like. There's a tip for you, even after years and years, decades of buying cars. Open everything, press every button, check under every cover. I don't think they did it on purpose, but obviously if we weren't going to check, they weren't going to point it out. So check everywhere. The front door pockets are both ripped very badly, and I was all high and mighty, hoity-toity, saying, oh, who does that to their car? Who lets it get there that far? And then I recently looked in my C43, there's a tiny tear already starting on the driver's door, so I guess it's just wear and tear. It is quite bad, or it was quite bad in this car, but again, something to negotiate on. It had a very icky steering wheel. In fact, it still does. I'll get to that in a future video. Do you have any of the other usual W202 stuff, like the mirror switch? Sorry, if you're from America, the Mia switch, usually that's broken off. And in this car, the Mia switch is still there, and it works. The boot release next to it did work, and it has subsequently broken. And usually that's also ripped off, because someone, if it stops working, you just start yanking as hard as you can until cling, it flies around the cabin and hits the sagging roof liner, which this car probably had, but it's been redone. Sometimes the cubby hole in the dashboard, that handle comes off, but in this one, it is quite rare, but in this one it hasn't happened yet. Then, of course, buyer's remorse, I thought, had the mileage been turned back, but it's unlikely. could be, but more likely is minimal servicing and a backlog in servicing. That is proof, there is evidence here. And this car had a giant gap in its history. I think it was about 4 or 5 years that it hadn't been serviced. The mileage didn't go up very much, but there was a 4 or 5 year gap, which was basically me walking away from it. But the seller said, no, it had definitely been serviced, also quite recently. They just couldn't prove it. And I said, if you can prove it, if you can send me an invoice or something, then we can talk. And they tried, but I don't know how they managed. I think Mikhail also, the way the car drove and it not smoking and driving like a skip, I think they managed to swing me. And they did promise that the car had been serviced. And eventually after I bought it, here in the driver door, I found some old stickers. Very, very old and decrepit stickers. And one of them, I had to photograph it and enhance. I think it's that one. One of them is slap bang in the middle of, hello cat. One of them is slap bang in the middle of that problem area. So at least we're now talking 2 year gaps, 2.5 years. That's not too bad. Plus they reckon that someone had recently also given it an oil change, which later when we did service the car seemed plausible. It didn't have like sludgy black oil. It seemed like it had been serviced. Although of course when we got it, the mileage indicators was flashing minus 730 days. I can't. Some people just can. I can't drive like that. Anyway, so things it needed to make it nice. I would say make it very presentable. You're never going to get this into a perfect condition without spending insane amounts of money on it. So we just wanted it in a good, serviceable, decent, presenting condition. Obviously a loop service, a big service, and anything related to that, maintenance and the passing of the roadworthy. So in Southern Africa, definitely in South Africa, you do not need an annual or regular MOT, TÜV, roadworthy we call it. You don't need that. You can drive forever. Except when you sell the car, then it needs a roadworthy inspection and a certificate which is valid for 30 days, and then you transfer everything. We wouldn't have passed because it needed tires. Upon inspection it had 3 Contis and 1 Hankook. All of them were shot. The shocks are quite bouncy, and this one makes a funny noise. Oh no, it's probably heated up from the sun. It is a little bit bouncy. Yeah, not too bad. According to the one mechanic, it can still keep going for at least one more service. I thought the brakes needed refurbishing because, oh, that's a caliper, isn't it? When I went in there, and I burnt my finger a bit because I'd been driving, there's a bit of a lip. There is a bit of a lip. I'm going to poke my GoPro in there and I hope you can see it. But turns out I know very little about brakes, and that's still fine. So next on my notes, the AC. Yeah, the aircon was not working in these cars with a climate control. It's an EC button. Actually, all of them. Also, if they have the turning knobs, it's an EC button. If the EC is on, that means economy cycle. That means the aircon is off. If the EC light is off, then it comes on. And when I pressed it, that young man pressed it very quickly and said, no, just aircon. But he was very panicky about it. And I know why, because eventually when I bought it and I insured it and we got it serviced and I drove it, I put the aircon on and I drove around until the car started smoking very badly. So I had my suspicions, and then I went to a really great local shop around the corner here. And yeah, that guy, friendly Afrikaans guy, he quickly got me in and he said, oh, just the regas, hey? They hear that too. And he said to me, the compressor is in sy gat in, which is Afrikaans for in its arse in. Gone. So we had to replace it. I'll get to that in greater detail in a future video. Then the car has 3 keys, but only one of them worked. Let me show you the keys actually, because I've never seen this before. It's amazing. It has a valet key, which on a 202 I've never seen. Look at that. That is the spare. There is the valet key. That is like a thin, very thin key, and it starts the car. This one still works. It doesn't unlock, obviously, although there's a mechanical one in here. So you could mechanically lock and unlock the car, and this still works. It starts the car. This appears to be the car's original spare key, and it is dead as a doornail. It doesn't do anything. This is the key that the car came with, and I've put it into a bag because I think it's radioactive. It is taped together. It is already a replacement key, and it worked sometimes. I bought a new cover for that because it was actually open. All the back of it was open with the green tape over it. So that was the only key that would start the car, I would say, every 2 or 3 attempts. So we had to get a new key made, which is in my pocket, as you admire the beautiful interior. See, it's pretty much the same, although it's got the American panic thing, which I don't think works. So that we had to get another key, which, according to the key guy, I think is key number 5 or 6. Right, next. Where are my notes? There they are. Okay, the next thing we immediately noticed was the driver door handle, which has been replaced since. The one that came with the car was absolutely foobarred, I think is the word I was looking for. The driver's side fender indicator, that was also replaced because it was wonky, and during the service it fell out because all the super glue that was holding it in had come undone. The front fog lights didn't work. Turns out there were no bulbs in there, which concretes my suspicion that something happened to the front of the car. The Mercedes badge, the star, was badly corroded and quite loose, so we replaced that. Again, more details in an upcoming video. The mono wiper is still quite noisy. The spray jets were both kaput. Ditto for the water, the spray wash pump was actually broken. The wiper blade was shot, so just neglect, they could have fixed it, but they didn't. It has a not so noisy hooter. Perhaps I'll put some B-roll in just now, because I think these have dual tone hooters, and it sounds like only one of them was working. It isn't really roadworthy relevant, because as long as you have a hooter, you pass. It's not like they know, and even if they did know that the car has 2 hooters, they're not going to fail you on that. The near side jacking point rear cover is covered with red tape, or like paper, because it had gone missing. Don't look there. Don't look. Now, it needs lots of interior TLC. The front seats were dried out, especially the passenger one, but they're not torn. Both the front door armrests are split. The wood veneer is damaged. This one is warped on the driver's side. The passenger one was completely, well, almost completely gone. The driver's side door rubber is worn and ripped. This was also destroyed, and we've covered that up with a temporary solution. The steering wheel is completely worn, and I've put a cover on, which I hate. It's a cop-out, but I can't find a decent steering wheel. Until I do, this is a temporary solution. The driver vanity mirror cover was broken. We fixed it. That one is on its way out. The indicator stalk, when we got this car, the indicator stalk would not self-cancel to the left. But most of these parts, this is still available as an aftermarket part and was fairly affordable. It was just a faff to install. I did not do that because I've got 2 left hands. What else? It had a sticky light. No, it still does. It has a sticky light switch, so that's fine. And then that, to put it onto full, needs a bit of effort. So, yeah. But I've got a spare for that already. It had sticky or chewed up radio knobs. I've since replaced those. Had a broken ashtray, which we eventually found. And sorry, Mikhail, I still haven't taken the 202 markings off. Should probably do that before he sees this video. Oh no, hang on, what am I doing? I've already done this, damn. Right, a disgusting lower dashboard little tray. What else? Manky gear lever. The original gear lever was like gluey and soggy and bent, so we replaced it with a amazing imitation wood which almost matches that of the car. The climate control has faulty backlighting. I have not attempted that because on my C43 it was also On the Fritz, every now and then the display sort of conks out, and then I replaced it with a unit which is horribly expensive to get on eBay, and it does the same thing. Right, what else? The broken central cubbyhole lid catch. This thing was missing, that one there, and it became the bane of my existence. You'll see in a later video why. Perished rear door speaker rubbers. So in the rear doors, down here, are 4-inch speakers. They actually worked, but they got old and probably sun damaged. So the surround, the rubber foam surround, was like coming apart. I took the cover off and you could pull it. So what we did, we replaced them with 4-inch, I think, Pioneer speakers. Working beautifully. We also have cracked and damaged rear speaker covers. There, look, there's a bit of it. And the first aid kit, which was missing, its cover is also broken, and this gasket has come off. There's nonsense happening here. Haven't done anything of that yet, because to find a decent one, once a car's in a scrapyard, this is usually gone, or also sun damage because they stand in the sun. What else? Oh yeah, the third brake light, I've done that. The boot floor, sorry, spare parts. The boot floor handle has sheared off, and the CD shuttle was broken, but I replaced it. Can you see what I mean? Oh, isn't that fun? Look at the gasket. Boom. Can you see what I mean about scrap in the EU? This would be in a scrapyard if it was in Germany, I'm sure. Plus it would be rusted to pieces. The clear coat between all the kitty paws, sorry, the clear coat is coming off here. There, I hope you can see that between all the dirt. I'm going to scratch it. There, clear coat's gone. So maybe it needs a touch up, maybe just leave it. The driver's side rear light is cracked. There, that is not roadworthy relevant in our country, or they missed it. And there's a big dent there. And what else we had? Oh yes, the car, once I started driving it, it took forever to warm up. It would only go up to 60 degrees Celsius, or what's that, 9,000 Fahrenheit. And I suspected a broken thermostat, and it was replaced just after I got back from jail for killing all my neighbor's dogs, the whole puppy pound. Okay, shall I keep going? Because I've probably forgotten half a dozen or more issues and niggles with this car. My intention is not to make the car perfect, because it would be too expensive. And don't worry, perfect cars make me nervous. Then I worry, oh no, the headlights are in the sun and they're going to fade. And oh, what is the cat doing? No, I can't live like that. And this car is meant to be a good, usable, daily, not beater, daily driver. Daily driver, there you are. How far am I in the hole financially? I am already in over my head. I'm not completely upside down, but the car owes me more than it's worth. I will have a detailed breakdown, as the sun is almost completely on the car now. I will have a detailed breakdown in a future video. And you can see how much trouble I am, and hopefully my wife will never ever see that video. I hope she doesn't watch my videos. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this video and the series, and what you would do to the car, or what I should do next with it. Let me know. We'll read and try and reply to all your comments. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye. That's Eberhard. Eberhard. Guten Morgen. I used to chase them off my cars until my mechanic friend said, they keep the rats and mice away. So, good boy. Stay on the glass bit.